Good evening, everyone. My name is Ryan Townsend, and welcome to our very, very special Freedom Fund 21 launch right here on Facebook. We thank you for joining us this evening. And kind of a fun factoid that I discovered as I went searching for a script for this Facebook Live was that on this date in 2018, we also were live for the Freedom Fund 2018. And at that point, we were in a different location. We were at our office space, which was over on West Shaw Avenue. And but now this evening, we are coming to you here from the friendly confines of the backstage area at North Park Community Church, where the internet is fast, the water is cold, and there's a chill, there's an autumn chill in the air. So we're very excited to be launching Freedom Fund 21 this evening, and you're going to be hearing from several members of our team and key volunteers. And hey, Anjanette, thanks for joining the broadcast. And so, of course, I need someone to hand me one of those scripts. Thank you very much, Krista. So. We are the Central Valley Justice Coalition, and I have been so thankful. This is my 6th year as the executive director of the Central Valley Justice Coalition, and believe me when I say I'm happy that it's not just me doing this work, and it's not just those of us on the staff team that are doing this work, but it's really all of us doing it together, and that's what it's going to take for us to prevent human trafficking here in the Central Valley and beyond. So who are we? We are a coalition of concerned people from all different walks of life who have come together because we recognize that exploitation and human trafficking is a serious problem that requires serious intent, serious research, serious preparation, and hard work to prevent. And so our goal is to stop human trafficking before it starts. And so we work with many different partners to do this. By no means are we the only, I think of the words of my pastor, by no means are we the only show in town or the only game in town, but we play what we believe is a very key role in preventing human trafficking here in the Central Valley. And so we started, my colleague Jessica Pittman formed the Justice Coalition well over 10 years ago as a group of people who were committed to praying about what God would have us do in order to address what seems like, and still today seems like, an overwhelming problem, a giant problem that affects people all across the globe, not just here in our home base of Fresno, California, but all around the world. And so as this group of people got together and prayed and sought God's will and leading, the topic of prevention was one that emerged, and one that we have remained committed to for well over 10 years. And so what do we do at the Justice Coalition? This is a very valid question that we often get asked. And our mission is to partner with the church and the community to prevent human trafficking. And we prevent human trafficking through 3 main ways: through education, partnership, and outreach. And so tonight, what are we doing here? We are here for the Freedom Fund. Thanks to True Organic Products, they have pledged $25,000 to the Freedom Fund, and therefore every dollar that is given up to that $25,000 is effectively doubled. And so this is a way for us to leverage the power and the energy and the resources of a group of people, and to really see our work exponentially grow. So we are looking to raise a grand total of $50,000 in the next 30 days. The Freedom Fund is going to run from October 18th, which is today, to November 17th. And lifetime donations to the Freedom Fund. This is why it's important. Why should you support the Freedom Fund when there are so many worthy causes and so many other things that, of course, are vying for all of our attention at this time? Well, to date, the Freedom Fund has raised over $251,000. So over $250,000 has been raised in the previous 7 Freedom Funds. And we are very blessed to have the True Organic Products as a partner. They have been with us really since the very beginning. As I mentioned, well over 10 years ago, the Justice Coalition began with an event at University Vineyard Church called We Are One on 1/11/11. And following that, it was probably another 2 years until really some serious fundraising began. And True Organics Products was the first partner to step up and give money to the Justice Coalition so that we could make a difference in preventing human trafficking. So we are here to take your questions. We really want this to be interactive, not just talking into a screen. And so we have operators standing by, or an operator standing by on her computer, ready to take any questions that you might have, that you might want to throw down in the chat. And so you can also contact us on our resource line anytime at 559-725-1865. We'll put that number in the chat. That's our resource line, and it's not a 24-hour hotline, but it is checked throughout the day, and we try and respond. Ask us questions. Just maybe not any questions that were unqualified to answer. Our theme for this year's Freedom Fund 21, is making noise to prevent human trafficking. And so we have some music-themed poll questions to put to you tonight. Most of them are very arbitrary and subjective. So don't worry if you don't get the right answers. But we also are going to try to have some fun with it tonight. So I want to introduce my colleague, Dan Carter. Dan, if you would come over here and take a seat on couch number 2. Let's see, we'll make sure that you're in the shot.
But you're number 1 in our hearts.
But you might be on couch number 2, and you might technically be the number 2 ranking Justice Coalition employee. But it's a power play. If it was though, I would be like on a stool. I would be sitting higher. Like it might look like I'm sitting higher, but it's just because I'm taller. We are on an equal level. Oh yeah, there we go. Dan can sit on the stool. Dan can sit on the stool. But Dan, we are so happy to have you come on board with us. And in just a minute, people are going to get to know you better. So I sent you some questions ahead of time. I
just got them.
Okay, so you prepared.
Just got them hours ago.
You prepared very well, it probably wasn't, maybe hour ago would be the most accurate. The most accurate thing, but a couple of important updates. First of all, on a serious note, our thoughts and prayers go out to our colleagues at the Lighthouse for Women, who very tragically lost one of their buildings yesterday to a fire. And so to Vicky Luna and all of her staff and volunteers and partners across the valley, just know that our thoughts and prayers are with you, and anything that we can do to help the work that you do to assist women who are making serious life changes and who are transitioning to a different life, we definitely want to be there for you. And I don't know why I put this right after that, but very important news is that today at the state capitol, my little brother Tim, I think of him as Little Timmy, but he's worked at the state capitol office, and today the Tim Tebow fathead was retrieved from the California state capitol. So have no fear, ladies and gentlemen. Tim Tebow has been found. And my brother was the Capitol director for Assemblyman Tom Lackey, and now he's working as a consultant. So I guess he's clearing out his office after a year or two of already doing this new job. And he did locate Tim Tebow, so I thought that was really important. Dan, tell us a little bit about our new location, since this is something that you made happen for us.
I think Krista was the catalyst, actually, but
you helped to get the documents together.
That's very important. Yeah, so now we're located downtown in Warehouse Row, Heritage Building. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, I think it's historic Warehouse Row complex, because it's several buildings, but it's 764 P Street.
Right, yes, 764 P Street, Suite 20.
Yes,
right next to immigration, which I thought was very convenient for myself. And I need to get my biometrics done. That's the place to go. That it is.
And it's actually Suite 020, in case you're wondering. So you like Mulder and Scully, we are in the basement. at this building. But we're very happy to be there. And I just want to say also, on a serious note, thank you to Fresno Interdenominational Refugee Ministries for hosting us for what I believe is nearly 3 years, an all-time record for the Central Valley Justice Coalition. This is my 5th office in my 6th year of leading this organization. And so I am sick of moving. So our hope is to be there. But we do have we are primarily still using our PO Box 6099. PO Box 6099 Fresno 93703 for donations that are sent through the mail, and a lot of our supporters have us on automatic bill pay, which is a very convenient way for your bank to mail us a check every month, and we really rely on those donations. But thank you to Firm for being our gracious host for a long time, and we wish them the best. And they are repurposing our office to continue to offer vaccinations and free COVID tests for the community. And so it's really great. It's working out really well for both of us. And now we're downtown, where I've wanted to be for a long time. So now we're there. This year our Freedom Fund events are going to take us further than ever before. I was really impressed with us as I wrote this down. We are going to be having events in Brooklyn, right? Is it Brooklyn or Queens?
Just New York City.
New York City.
I think Brooklyn, Queens, and somewhere else that I'm not familiar with.
So we're gonna have events in New York City, and then in Spokane, Washington. So the place is much less glamorous, but nevertheless important. Spokane, Washington.
Pretty.
Yeah, exactly. Sandpoint, Idaho, and Missoula, Montana. So that means that we are going to be in at least 5 states throughout this year's Freedom Fund. And as I said, we're making noise to prevent human trafficking. And so Dan, as I said, you're our new associate director. In many ways, you are filling the role that Jessica Pittman filled for us, in addition to founding the Central Valley Justice Coalition. And we are super excited to have you here. But I actually want to start, just to throw you off your game, your preparation.
So
I want to start with a poll question here. And so I think we can get the text of this up. If we can't, Krista, it's no big deal. But I want you to rank these Australian musical artists in order of greatest to least great.
Okay, so it's
and our viewers can chime in with this too.
Subjective,
it's very arbitrary. There's really no right or wrong answers, except for in my opinion. And I was before becoming a youth pastor, I was a music journalist, which is probably one of the more abrupt career shifts that anyone's gone through.
Probably.
And so I do have a little expertise here, but you're the expert, being that you are from Australia.
Okay.
So here are these Australian artists, all great, just greatest to least great. Okay. A is Silverchair.
Mm-hmm.
B, Midnight Oil. C, In Excess. D, AC/DC. And E, Tame Impala.
That's a hard one. Although I don't know the last band at all, so I'll put that at the bottom.
Tame Impala, the most current and hipster band.
I have to say, from my own personal preference, Silverchair ranks number 1, In Excess, Midnight Oil, AC/DC, and then the Tame Impala.
All right. So when I first met you, Midnight Oil was literally the only Australian artist that I could think of, and I don't know. Silverchair occurred to me later, but
you miss Powderfinger though. That
Powderfinger.
is my all-time favorite Australian band.
Powderfinger. Okay, are they like a ska band? No. Do they have horns? No.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
But now we have some
What's
ideas
going
for
on?
them. Silverchair, if you're listening. Oh no, that wasn't Silverchair.
Silverchair's great. Powderfinger.
Silverchair. So Dan likes grunge. So Dan, how did you get connected with us at the Central Valley Justice Coalition?
Oh, okay. That was. I think I found you guys on Indeed.
Okay.
Job posting. November or December last year, you posted 2 jobs. I applied for both.
And then they were actually the same. They turned out to be the same job.
And then they got consolidated into one job, which then a friend of mine, who's a mutual friend, was like, you got to reapply. And so I reapplied and got the job. rest is history.
Great. Yeah. So I think what happened is
That was
that
like
you might have
late
initially
March.
applied for did we have an office manager job?
Yeah, I applied for both.
Okay, okay. And then office manager and then
Both
associate
part-time
director.
jobs,
Yeah. Both part-time. And then I had the bright idea of why don't we just combine those into a full-time job?
Right.
So, yes.
Worked well for me.
So it did work out great. So you've traveled all around the world. What differences have you noticed between our community here in Central California and some of the other places that you've lived?
I mean, that's like asking what's the difference between a pea and a carrot.
They're both vegetables.
It's very different. That's not different. That's the same.
First off, so what are some differences here from some other places that might affect someone's risk of being exploited or taken advantage of?
That's a great question. A little bit more serious. I have thought about this a bit. Being in the Central Valley, I think I've really recognized the importance of geographic location in terms of being exploited for particular acts of trafficking. So for somewhere like this that's in between major cities, a part of massive agricultural, aspect of the states, so they're predominantly, geographic reasons as to why people would be in a position of to be exploited. And so, living in a major city like Sydney, you see firsthand the direct, there's a directness to that. And then living in outback Australia, basically in the middle of nowhere, it's a whole nother element with cultural aspects. And so, I mean, that's a loaded, complex question.
Sure.
But
So at one point
you
you were basically embedded with a group of indigenous people, right?
Right, yeah. So our family at the time lived on what we would call an indigenous in an indigenous community, which is very similar to your reservations. We were, the minority and adapted to the culture there. And I mean, I could talk all night about the ways in which that particular people group and their position geographically and otherwise put them in a place of being exploited. Yeah.
So you what makes you then what drives you? What informs your you're obviously passionate about helping people, or you
Right.
wouldn't be working with us, because on the prestige and pay and power, we're
It's
not
amazing,
exactly we're not exactly at the top of the heap. So so now that you've been working with us for 2 months, I think,
Mhm.
yeah, 2 months time, in post-COVID world, time is all relative. It's just out there floating in the ether. But you've been 2 months. What are you passionate about? What are some things that you're hoping to? What are some of your passions that you're hoping to apply to the Justice Coalition going forward?
Okay, yeah. So my number one passion is science, specifically neuroscience or neuropsychology. I've been studying that for many years, and the way that can be applied to this particular position and in this organization would be, this solid understanding of mental health issues, abuse, and the things that lead to exploitation. And so as a basis drives me to be able to help. And I also, I have a huge history of education in different contexts. And so that really drives me as well, that our organization is very focused on education.
Awesome. Yeah.
All the things that I love.
Yeah, well, that's great. It tends to combine all of those things along with moving boxes and
Yeah. Organization.
organizing things. So we were without an office manager for almost a full calendar year. So there is a lot of catching up to do. But we're excited to have you. We're really excited to have you with us.
Hi, Facebook. I'm Krista Weems. I am the Education Coordinator at Central Valley Justice Coalition, and this is
Megan Fabrizio. I am a volunteer at the Central Valley Justice Coalition.
Yes, an all-star, rock star volunteer, part of our prevention team. Megan is a teacher all day long and loves it so much that she's like, how could I do that for free? So she comes and volunteers with us and teaches classes in a variety of different contexts. And in addition to that, she helps organize fun events for us.
Yes.
So what's the one that's coming up?
So this year, what we're going to be doing, it's actually technically next year, is a fund run. So we're going to be doing a 5K on January 30th. And all of the registrations up until November 17th will be doubled for Freedom Fund. But it's just going to be a virtual 5K. So we are going to provide you guys with the bibs and just the kind of structure of how to participate in a virtual 5K. And that's really, you get to run wherever you are. So it doesn't matter if you're here in the Central Valley or if you're across the country, in another country, you can run the 5K with us and support the work that we're doing here.
Yeah. Last year we did this for the first time. It was a big hit. We got lots of positive feedback and a lot of you joined us. It was really fun, especially last year when we couldn't be together and we hadn't seen people in real life for so long. One of the fun things about it is we encourage people to take a picture and post it on their social media with the same hashtag. And then through our Instagram and Facebook, we were able to share those pictures as well. And so it was fun to realize how many different people were part of the work with us. And I think my family did it. It was just exciting to see all these different people, faces that I didn't even recognize, and realize that there were partners all over the country participating together.
Yeah, and this year we really are encouraging everybody to get teams together. So we don't have to just run with your immediate family or maybe with your neighbors, but get teams together and get as many people out there running, and just really the goal is to encourage that education. So when you're out running the 5K on January 30th and you have your bib on, people ask, what are you running for? And so this is just a conversation starter where we can get more education and more knowledge of the work that we're doing out there.
Yeah. We tried to make it reasonable. I have 4 kids, so I'm not trying to spend $300 to go on a little run together. So prices, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so it's going to be $30 for an adult, and then for kids, $10. So you can, if you have a bunch of kids, just $10 per kid, and we will send you the bib via email, so you don't have to worry about coming and picking it up anywhere. And then after the fun run, we'll send you some goodies in the mail, just stickers and other fun things with our newsletter to keep you updated.
Yeah. Anything else we're forgetting? Oh, it's called a fun run.
Yes.
I don't like to run.
You don't have to run. You can walk. You can ride a scooter. You can ride a bike. You could get creative with it. I know last year you said you guys went to Woodward and your kids were on scooters, so you can run if you want to. I love to run, so I actually took my dogs with me, so technically my dogs ran it with me. And so if you love to run like me, go out and run, and if you don't want to, you can walk. I know my mom did it, and she was like, I'm just going to just walk around. I think she just walked around her house and added it up to be a 5K. So you can do it however you want to do it. And it's just really to support what we're doing here.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll all do it on the same day, but you make your own route and you can go wherever you see fit. But yeah, please join us. It's a great way to build community, to raise funds and help us do the work that we keep doing. Oh, hi, Kim. Glad you're here. The other thing that we can talk about while Megan is here too, because Megan has been really helpful in this, is C, Students Ending Exploitation. So this is something that started in 2020 as so many students were home. It's something we've been talking about for years. I know Jessica had this vision a long time ago to basically empower young people to be the advocates for their peers and do some of the education, because the truth is, your kids are more likely to listen to each other than they are to us. And they're probably not going to find our information on Facebook, right? So we want to find ways to share with young people, and then not just share with them, but actually hand them the reins to teach us and to take the information in ways that are more accessible for their peer groups. So what has been, you've been helping with us this last year plus that we've been doing this. What has been a standout moment or two to you in working with those kids?
I think just their motivation to get knowledge out to like themselves, educate themselves, but then get knowledge out to their peers. They found so many resources I would have never even thought, because they are more in the world of social media and just have access to so many things that I'm not a part of. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on Instagram the same way that some of them are. And so they just had access to more peers to get information out, and then just their motivation to look for the knowledge. At the end of the year where they had presentations and they found out so much good information, and they were just so excited to share it with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great to watch these students just put together something that felt relevant to them, to their peers. See, I'm not the only one. Ryan did it too, so I feel better.
That's what was my fear. I was like,
the volume button is just right there. Why did they do that? Yeah. So we currently have a group of leadership students. We are recruiting actively right now. So if you have someone in your life who is between 7th grade and college that you think might be interested in C, please share with them the Instagram page. It's at c.justice. Or you can find more information at justiceco.org/C. And then leadership students are high school and college students. So if you know someone there who might be interested in helping create content and set priorities and share information, we were able to go to all 3 high school campuses in Central Unified just a couple months ago. And Alicia, who is one of our leaders there, she joined us on those campuses. We shared information with students, invited them to follow us and to learn more. And then we had a fun little game that we could play. And what stood out to me from those visits at those high school campuses is that several years ago, when I would go to high schools, I would talk about human trafficking and the language was unfamiliar. Students didn't understand what we were talking about. Exploitation wasn't a word that was being used. And so we kind of had to start at the ground level. This time, just standing at a table, I would get kids that would walk by and they would say, "What are you doing?" Like, "We're talking about human trafficking. Do you know what that is?" "Oh yeah, we don't want that." And they would just come right over and want to learn more. And I felt like that was such a huge example of why education matters, because these students knew already that it was a reality, already that they wanted to help, and we weren't trying to teach them that it was a thing, just more information about how to be safe.
And I think what's so awesome about C is kids are so motivated to be a part of something and to help with things. And so this is an outlet for them to be a part of something in the community that education piece could ultimately protect somebody. Just understanding our vulnerabilities and what those look like, and putting that knowledge into the hands of young adults is really important. And all of these young adults want to. They have that motivation to get that knowledge out.
Yeah, so if you have a chance, go check out c.justice on Instagram. They've got Twitter also. But just look at the work that the students are doing. They're creating the majority of that content and finding really unique and creative ways to share with their peers.
All right, before we let Megan go and Krista gives us some important education updates, we've got a poll question for you guys.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Which boy band rules over all?
Oh, dear.
A, Backstreet Boys. B, New Kids on the Block. C, NSYNC. D, One Direction. Or E, Boys to Men.
Oh, man.
Ooh, that one's hard.
Oh, man.
Good job.
I feel like this might demonstrate that Megan and I are from different generations.
So I grew up with Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. That's more, but I feel like Boys to Men really outshine them. So I don't know.
I mean, Boys to Men, they're the originals, right?
Yeah.
Although I will say I did go to the New Kids on the Block concert when they were in town a couple years ago, and it was fantastic. I have no regrets. It was wonderful. Paula Abdul and New Kids on the Block. Anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna say Boys to Men would be all-time best boys band.
I'm agreeing. Boys to Men.
Okay.
Look at
All
that
right.
consensus.
You guys got consensus. By record sales, it's Backstreet Boys. But
Oh, wow.
Well,
they're number one.
The public is often wrong.
Something really exciting, and it's hardly the end, but the beginning. So tell us a little bit about Empowered to Protect.
Yeah. So in the last couple of years, I've been learning more about abuse in churches, not even always by church people, right? But the impacts of those of us who have survived abuse and are in our church communities. So it really kind of hit home not too long ago when there was a situation in my own denomination that broke my heart. And so I really felt like this was something I needed to learn about, and I needed to learn how it was impacting people here in our own city. And so, long story short, we were able to put together this webinar, a 2-part series with the help of several different organizations, U.S. Mennonite Brethren Churches, the Center for Anabaptist Studies at Fresno Pacific, Every Neighborhood Partnership, and ESA Love Inc. And so together we were able to have the last 2 Mondays, we had some time focused to talk about abuse. We had 2 authors, Scott McKnight and Laura Behringer, who've written a book called A Church Called Tove, and they joined us.
It's a great book.
Yeah,
Highly recommended.
Yeah, they joined us for week 1 to talk about what it looks like to address the cultures within our own churches and organizations. And then this week we had folks from Grace, which is Godly Response to Abuse in Christian Environments, and from Into Account, joining us to talk more about some practical tools that churches and organizations can use, as well as trauma-informed practices and what it means to follow survivors and let them take the lead. So talk about packing a lot, right, into 3 hours.
Yeah.
But like you said, we hope this is only the start. And we're putting together a digital toolkit along with some discussion questions. And what we really hope happens is that people will take this opportunity to have watch parties. So you can invite folks from your church, other churches in your neighborhood, your small group, just people that you feel like could really use this information. Host a watch party where you watch the sessions of the webinar and you have a discussion and you start to ask questions about what could we be doing different to keep people safe.
Yeah. So I know that here at my church, where my wife is a teaching and worship pastor, that our pastor wants to use the webinars and have the board and staff gather in the same place, watch and then be able to discuss. And it's our hope that churches will be encouraged by the resources that are available. Because
Yes.
I know when I spent over 10 years as a pastor on staff at a church, and one of the last things that you ever want to do is fill out a mandated report, which I've done. One of the last things you ever want to do is learn about abuse that's been happening within the church, which I have done. And I think in a lot of places, the system really puts a lot of pressure. It really puts pressure on certain individuals because it's not something that's really been talked about in advance or planned or prepared for. And again, as with any sort of disaster response, we don't want to walk in fear, afraid of the worst thing that might happen. But at the same time, in the words of the football coach, American football for you, Dan. Football coach Bear Bryant, a failure to plan. Wait, a failure to prepare is to prepare to fail. Yeah. So
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, to paraphrase. And someone else will probably chime in that's like Yogi Berra or something. Like a great sports writer.
Tell us when we're wrong.
But tell us if we're wrong. But no, I think that churches can prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
While also, believing and hoping for the best. And then in the worst case scenarios, some churches may realize, okay, what we're actually rather than being a place that is protecting people, we actually may be setting up some of these things to happen. And I know that that's not what any group or community of people wants.
Right.
And so it does require. I would really just give. I think over 180 people were signed up for the first webinar.
Yep.
I'm not sure. Did you
Right
find
around
out
150 today.
Right around 150 today. So that shows me that there are people out there of good faith who want to address these issues. And
That's right.
Marissa, is not able to be here with us tonight, but Marissa has grown up in Catholic. She's still practicing her Catholic faith, part of a local parish. But as we've seen with the horrific abuse scandal in the Catholic Church, that the worst thing you can do is try to hide hide from these terrible things that have happened. And so I really want to commend those people that joined us. And I know that there was multiple churches with multiple staff members who were joining. And again, this information is not just for church staff members, but this is for people who are Sunday school teachers, people who are the congregants who volunteer, people on worship teams. The more that this information can get out there. And so it's something that we're committed to as well. It can't just be, it's not just a one-off event for us.
That's right. Yeah, I want to say I think it's important for survivors too, to recognize some of the patterns that exist in toxic cultures. Like a lot of things, we don't realize how a broken system can portray itself. And then once we start to recognize some of those patterns, it becomes very clear. And I think that can help survivors who are trying to engage in a faith community, but often walk in with their trauma, keeping them safe and causing them to evaluate everything. This is like a tool for that. So I think it's important. A little preview of what's coming in the digital resource is, in addition to discussion questions and the recordings, there's also a survey that your church can send out to church members to get an idea of how people in your church feel. Sometimes we make assumptions about whether we are a safe place or not, and
right, because we all believe that. And I know that in some situations I've been in, even though I would say that there's not that the overall culture can even be healthy, but someone can take advantage of trust and take advantage of respect for leadership and perpetrate abuse.
Yeah. And there are lots of resources for policies and things like that. And one of the things we talked about today is that policy might not always prevent abuse, but it can give us tools for responding so that we're not stuck in a we don't know what to do situation, which often causes churches and organizations to freeze and then to not be helpful to those that are hurt because they didn't have any kind of plan for that.
So you can go to our website, justicecode.org, and we have a link to register for Empower to Protect, which is now passed, but I believe if you register, you can get access to, how does that work?
I don't think you can register at this point, but what we will do is create a new page on our website with our Freedom Church section of our website. So if you check back, hopefully by the end of this week, there will be a section there that includes everything for Empower to Protect.
All right. Thanks so much, Krista. Thanks for
being
here.
Thanks.
Here's a poll question for you, Arian. You of all of our team members, this is Arian Garcia. Say hi, everyone. Arian is our second newest staff member, but that's a little bit misleading since she has been with us as an organization as a board member from the time that I started as the executive director. And so she and then prevention, part of the prevention education team, and she provides tremendous leadership to a survivor community here in the Central Valley. And so she's a huge blessing to us, and she's very I don't know. It's every way that I could say this makes me sound old. She's happening. She's
I'm trending.
She's down
She's
with
our
the
it girl.
She's in the in crowd.
That's a little outdated.
She's hip. I know. That's why I was trying not to say something that would make me sound like an old get off my lawn man. So what instrument, here's the poll question, what instrument was Justice co-founder Jessica Pittman spotted playing on Instagram earlier today?
That's not fair. We wasn't even on Instagram earlier today. Was it a banjo? Was something with string? Oh, no, wait. Dan plays the banjo.
No, Dan posted a picture of a banjo. This really is music. This really is a music-themed freedom fund. Making noise to prevent human trafficking, justicecode.org. No, okay, here's the choices, though. I guess it's multiple choice.
I know it had strings.
A, xylophone. B, guitar. C, trombone. Or D, mandolin.
A D.
D, mandolin.
Yeah.
That's your answer. Is that your final answer?
Yes, final answer.
All right, and you would be correct. You would be correct. I saw and I think it was sometime earlier. I was having the most success, by the way, like copying and pasting them in because you can't hit enter without posting the comment. So, it was a mandolin, and maybe that's something that we should hit the reshare button. You know, on Instagram now there's this little sticker, and then you can reshare things. I just learned this.
You're keeping up with the times. You're very hip.
And I
Ryan.
have a TikTok, but I have never made a dancing video on there, so I don't think I'm. I think I have like 2 things on my profile in like about 2.5 years.
As long as your health insurance covers you doing dances, it will be fine.
So true, though. Actually, oh man, now I have to do one more. I got to do one more poll question. I can't resist. Okay, so this does have a definite answer. So probably our only question that has an objective answer, and it is, what dance move was invented in Fresno? What? Where is the actual question on here? Okay, yeah.
I know
All right.
the answer because
What-
I read ahead. So
What dance move originated in Fresno? A, the Super Bowl shuffle. B, the Macarena. B, popping. D, twerking.
we are not providing examples.
We are not.
So like, off camera, we missed it. It would be popping.
C, popping. Yes. And here proving that I did my research from, I think this is from a Wikipedia article. Popping is a street dance adapted out of the earlier Boogaloo cultural movement in Oakland, California. It was popularized by a Fresno and Long Beach-based dance group called the Electric Boogaloos that mixed popping techniques with Boogaloo.
Duh.
So is popping the same as popping? Duh.
Good job.
Krista, we're not going to get through it. Is popping the same as popping and locking?
And dropping?
We're so cool.
Wow.
I might be
Stick
trendy
around.
with social media, but when it comes
We
to
just
dancing, I have this.
We just put all this blackmail material out live to the hundreds of people, the dozen, all dozen,
all of our moms.
everyone. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom, for tuning in. Okay, on a more serious note, though, Arian, you've been with us for a little over a year now, 14 months by my unscientific count. So what has been a highlight for you this last year plus since you joined us? You joined us right in the middle of a pandemic, and well, yes, we're still right in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
And so nothing has been normal. But what's something that has been a real highlight for you in this past year plus?
So a highlight for me in this past year is just really getting the chance to step out of the role of volunteering and actually come on staff. And I say this and I don't say it, be corny. It is my dream job. I've always wanted to work in this field, and that's why I've spent a good 9+ years volunteering. And I think the highlight for me is finding where there's a missing component to services for youth, and that's that at-risk population, and seeing the different dynamics for kids that if we can just address that component and catch them. I always say it's like they're right on a ledge, and if we can catch them right before they step that foot off the ledge, or at least equip them with enough knowledge before they just go jumping off the ledge, I feel that we have that chance to slowly start turning that tide. Very slowly.
Right. So what you're talking about is something that was brand new to us. It's been kind of a journey for me at the Justice Coalition. I was being that when I came into the job, I wanted to be sure to tell everyone that we don't do direct services. We're an education organization. And then after I myself was driving all around town, dropping off food and giving rides and helping people with transportation and different things, I soon realized, no, we are doing direct services. So then I started saying, we're not case management. We help survivors directly. We're not case management. And then after I realized that I myself was doing some case management for survivors of human trafficking, along with Jessica and Krista and others, then I was like, no, that's not true. We are case management. So we're not And then I started saying, we're not like a one-stop shop. We're not, a wraparound services providing everything, and that is true.
Yeah.
And we're very thankful to our partners at Fresno EOC, Central Valley Against Human Trafficking, at Breaking the Chains, for Molly's House, and others who really do provide, kind of full-time services for survivors. But you have brought something. This passion that you just shared has led to something really exciting, and that is our minor pre-victim case management program. I guess it's a program. It's and this is the way it works for us so often at the coalition, is that we're just responding to the needs. And as you said, the whole reason, as I shared in the intro, the whole reason why we exist is because we looked for where's a gap that we can fill, and we saw that there was a gap in prevention. And education, and so tell me a little bit about the work that you're doing with these minor pre-victim clients.
So with the kiddos that we get to work with, or I get to work with, and when I say Marissa Garcia is my counterpart, who has some hours that she works with us as well. And we receive referrals from either other partners, so mainly Department of Social Services, so DSS. Alyssa Chacon is amazing, so is Danielle. And we'll get referrals from probation, from it just really, or other recently, other mental health services. They'll kind of now, as we're out there, they'll reach out to us and we'll, for example, get a referral, say, this is the information, if the kid's placed in a group home, if the kid's placed in foster, or if the kid's still at home, what does that look like? Here are the main risk factors. This is what are the concerns, like there's either ties to gangs or their behaviors online or frequent AWOLing. And so these are like the main concerns that are brought to us. So when a kid is brought to me, we look at the main concerns. First thing, introduce, talk about expectations, get a safety plan in. It's extremely important to meet the kid right where they're at in that moment, get that safety plan in there, talk about, the expectations of what can happen, talk about that there will be information and learning about human trafficking. It's never a secret. These kids know when I come to them that
They know why you're there.
why I'm here, but I'm not accusing you of anything.
Right.
Then from there, the beauty of the program and why I love it so much is it's tailored to what works for the kid and what the kid's need is. If the kid is in that age where they want to get a job, or they want to do volunteering work, or we sit down and really look at what are your goals? How can you accomplish your goals? If they're on probation and they go through Friday court, that looks different on how we set up their goals and work through their goals. Also, a big component that's super important is providing an education component. So not just for the youth, but for the family or for the foster home. I had a client that I was working with who was in a foster home. Foster home was a little clueless and was like, hey, and you and myself we trained the home, and then we brought in My Life, My Choice for all the residents in the home. So it's a full just wraparound. If unfortunately CSEC or trafficking is discovered, there will be a reach out to our partners like Breaking the Chains or EOC who have that. They have the direct services and the mental health needs and what they need to directly address the CSEC component of it. And then there's a warm handoff. Hey, here's more support. Here's how to break down and work through it. In some very specialized cases, I continue working with them, building their self-esteem, working on curriculum like Becoming Me, which is a new curriculum coming out of LA County, which is more directed towards a one-on-one. So it's a lot of or sometimes we just go and grab Starbucks or go work out or go to the park. And it's just finding a place. A lot of these kids see a lot of people, especially with wraparound services or different things from CPS, see a lot of faces and a lot of people. So they like it when I come in with my tattoos and my sass and I'm just like, hey, and just get down on a real level with them. They think it's hilarious when I forget my badge. And the group homes don't want to let me in the front door. It's always a running joke. We love it. But that's just...
Yeah, no, I think it's really important for our supporters to understand that we're only able to do this because of the money that they donate. Because one of the reasons why we stepped into this gap is that there are certain things that trigger federal funding and state funding resources for survivors and victims of human trafficking, and these clients that you're seeing, trafficking and commercial sexual exploitation of children may be discovered in this process. But two, they might be right on the verge of that, and there are not enough resources. Those same resources are not available to them unless they've been victimized.
Unless they actually disclose, there might be a case where they'll disclose to a parent, but then when they're being asked by an official or asked by myself, they won't fully disclose. So then we spend more time building that comfortability level to get them the full disclosure, so then they can be referred out for those more in-depth services. So that's the tricky part of
and it's because we're privately funded, we don't have to worry. There's never been a time where RN is like, should we take this client on, and we're like, no, that they don't meet the definition of who we're trying to help. And so really it is because of that. So how many clients have you processed, you and Marissa, so far?
So between the two of us, since this has started about a year ago, we've processed and worked with about 26 kids. Some either move on, some end up ending services. Unfortunately, some take off and are still gone on, runaway status. I have about 12 clients that I work with now, and it fluctuates. It always depends. It's kind of, it ebbs and flows. Marissa's at about 6 herself, but then it ebbs and flows. There's so many factors, and with the crisis that is going on with placement and CPS, a lot of these kids, we build a rapport and then placement isn't working and they have to be sent out of county. And that brings another kind of barrier, and that's fine. We'll get on Zoom, we'll Zoom away, we'll talk on phones, and I can't wait to see more of this in surrounding counties. So when a kiddo that we're working with gets placed into a different county, then they can still follow up with the same kind of services. But as far as just thinking about giving and doing for this, these kids love art projects. We love a good Starbucks trip, those kind of things, shamelessly but not plugging some of the needs that, almost every single kid that I have had, we've processed. The number one thing the social worker or the care provider or whoever says is they love arts and crafts. They love doing adventures. They like interaction. And so
we'd love to be able to increase our budget for that. Also, we're open to in-kind donations. We don't have much storage space now, so that's a challenge. That is a challenge for us. But that we will continue to work on, because we are in our new office. We are prioritizing a good deal of space to this work, and so we're setting up an interview room. Sounds terrible. Is a safe a what? Resource space. A resource space.
A safe space.
A safe
fun
space.
space
A fun
to
space.
come in. There will be a beanbag chair. I'm just saying. It will be great, but a place that's safe, a place that is easily accessible by bus. And just
that's a great part of our move as well, is just becoming more accessible in our new location than we have been ever before in any of our previous locations before public transportation.
It's very true. So just reading ahead in your question on how we can help these young kids is as this is new and what we're doing is new, the goal is to expand this model and send it out to other counties, and as we learn what works for us and doesn't work, and hopefully see this in other places, and just listen to that kid that might seem angsty, and or just just listen to the kids and know that we're here and that we're available. And like you said, there's no guideline. It could be something small that you notice and you might be like, I don't know if this is anything, and I'll be happy to meet with them.
Right.
And if it's not nothing, thank you, Jesus.
Right.
It's not nothing, and they've learned something.
Right. It's
and
not
they
that we
can
don't have a
educate their
criteria.
peers.
It's not that we don't have a criteria for who we want to help, but it's that we're not limited, thanks to the people who generously and faithfully give to the Justice Coalition, that we're able to do this. So, well, thank you so much, Ariane, for all your hard work, and it's been a joy. And for the first I don't know, 3-4 months, like I didn't even see. Arian started working for us, and I was her boss, and I never saw her in person because we were all working remotely. So
Yeah, it was really
um,
interesting.
yeah. Well, thank you so much.
All right,
Thanks for
thank
sharing.
you.
Yeah, I feel like I should like shake your hand or something.
COVID,
That's
elbow.
right. That's right. Well, we don't take for granted the support that we have gotten, and not just support in terms of finances, but also support in terms of prayer, support in terms of relationship and friendship. As I said, we can't do this. We can't do this without you. As things have started to open back up, we have recently done a variety of different trainings and presentations. Several weeks ago, Krista was training doctors and residents at the for the UCSF campus here in Fresno. Our youth classes are slowly creeping back. As you all know, I don't have to tell you what's happened over the last year and a half and going on 2 years now. But as Arian mentioned, Arian and Marissa were able to get back into a group home and run a My Life, My Choice class, which was something that we celebrated. We celebrated in the office, and I see that Jessica has joined us. Too late for the poll question about her, so you'll have to go back and watch that, Jessica. But I'm just overwhelmed by gratitude in advance for this. And I'm not gonna lie. Every time that we go to do one of these Freedom Funds, it's always a leap of faith, and we are doing some creative ideas. You know, as things have started to open back up, one thing that is not really back is, the idea of a fundraising banquet, just because of the various different uncertainties that surround with, new variants of the virus, and as we continue to get back to health. And so to me, that's an opportunity because, to be honest, we're not that good at throwing banquets. I don't know if I should say that to all of you, but we'll hopefully what we are going to discover some really new and exciting things. So Dan is going to be in New York City. We're partnering with at least 2 different restaurants. We're going to be putting a cooking three different restaurants. She's leveraging is it Australian food or what is it?
A couple of Australian contacts.
You're gonna serve like kangaroo burgers?
Well,
Pub food
a
and
bakery,
a bakery, yeah,
and another soul food.
and soul food.
Yeah, the other one's Harlem born and raised soul food.
Okay, all right. Harlem born and raised soul
Chef.
food
So,
chef, and so
it'll be
be
great.
looking for these things as we get them live.
Step challenge on Sunday.
And then there's going to be a step challenge for Dan, which is a version of a jogathon, as I understand it.
No jogging though.
No jogging, but you're going to be pledging towards steps in New York City. And what I hear is if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. So, so and then also I'm going up to the inland Pacific Northwest and playing some shows with my band to raise money for the Justice Coalition. I'll also be honest that if I were to go back in my musical career and total tally up all the money that I've spent versus the money that I've made, it's not that much. So this is a step of faith too. So if you live up in the inland Pacific Northwest, Spokane, Missoula, Montana, Sandpoint area, be looking for those shows that we're going to do. We're also looking for new connections to be able to do more programming and to serve more youth. And so we just thank you for joining us tonight. And just stay tuned for these events. We're rolling them out sometimes on a 1-by-1, day-by-day basis, which should hopefully incentivize you to head to our website, justiceco.org/Freedom Fund. We just have launched the Freedom Fund today, and as we've done in years past, we're going to be updating you on our progress. Another funny thing, and I think I'm not going to do that this year, but last year how long was I on? I went on Facebook Live for like 8 hours.
About 7.5 hours too long.
About 7.5 hours too long. But we are going to do a much better version of what we did here tonight. We're finalizing the details for a partnership with CMAC for a good old-fashioned live fundraising telethon. And so we are going to, at the tail end of the Freedom Fund, we're going to have operators standing by. We're going to have musical performances, maybe some juggling. I don't know what we're gonna pull out there, but we're gonna be on for several hours. Can you juggle? Can any of you guys juggle? No one can juggle.
Making promises.
We could even have Aryan doing like live screen printing and stuff. So thank you all. Thanks to North Park Community Church for letting us use their much faster internet and have hosting us here backstage. And thank you to all of the churches that participated in today's Empower to Protect. Stay tuned as we roll out more resources, and we will see you soon.
Woohoo!